If you have $200 to spend in IEMs, how would you spend it? Would you go with like set A with one great IEM and a DAC, or would you buy set B with 3 solid IEMs of your choosing and a dongle DAC amp like the JM6 Pro? I find this question interesting because like there's two sides into play here, with one side embodying that buy once, cry once ideal, and the other side like prioritizing a more experimentation-oriented approach. Now, I'd say $200 is not pocket change for something like earphones, since it's a serious amount of money, especially for like a university student living in a third world country, where like $200 or 12,000 pesos can either mean like food for 2 months or a month's worth of rent. So, in other words, I'm here to give you nothing more than an opinion on like the best way to spend $200 or 12,000 pesos in the world of IEMs, as someone who can't afford to spend more for what's essentially an incremental increase in sound quality. And since I'm basing this from my own experience and like my preferences, which involves a neutral bright tuning with a slight sub-bass boost to fit genres from R&B and rap to like orchestra and rock, plus gaming mostly in like Valorant and Rainbow Six Siege, I want to frame the discussion around a bigger question. What is actually going to give you the best bang for your buck without sacrificing fun and excitement for the sake of experimentation? And beyond that, which mindset fits an option of either buying once or like buying more better? Now, on the topic of options, I have two sets. Set A involves one IEM and one DAC that isn't super like well known yet, but it is promising from a measurement standpoint. Now for the IEMs, I picked the Crinear Daybreak as it's something that I generally find as a fun and versatile set, all while having a good amount of bass without being like too boomy, and a treble that's not too harsh but it's still detailed enough for my preferences. And along with that is going to be the TRN Black Pearl, that's roughly $20, and for that price you're getting a low output impedance that will allow for close to no coloration in tuning, a balanced output, a low signal to noise ratio, and like a dedicated app for EQ, and a near non-existent distortion level when non-oversampling mode is enabled. So with this kind of setup, you're getting a fun yet versatile IEM that's generally a safe recommendation for a lot of people, for a lot of uses from a lot of reviewers' perspectives, all while getting a portable and powerful DAC that can pretty much drive all IEMs while having lots of headroom for the more like power-hungry devices like headphones without any significant distortion. On the other end, set B involves 3 IEMs and 1 dongle. I chose the Truthear Hexa, the Tangzu Wan'er 2, and the Thieaudio Legacy 2 for like the 3 IEMs, as well as the JCally JM6 Pro dongle DAC amp. Now, I won't get into too much detail with like the Wan'er 2 as well as the JM6 Pro, as I do have separate videos for them individually in the channel, but in essence, the Tangzu Wan'er 2 is what I would call a like vocal-centric IEM, where songs like Iris by Google Dolls and artists like Adele really shines, whereas the JM6 Pro from JCally has a dedicated DAC and an amp chip, which not only provides a 3.5mm connection but is also powerful enough to drive even an HD 600 without any noticeable distortion. Continuing with the Truthear Hexa, I chose this as it's the closest IEM I have to a neutral bright tuning with a quality amount of sub-bass presentation that will allow you to essentially find out what detail means without completely like breaking the bank, all while being great for things like gaming as well. And on the topic of gaming, the Thieaudio Legacy 2 is a very neutral sounding IEM that's also going to give you a good gaming performance while being closest IEM I have to what the HD 600 sound like, which can be a great candidate for a reference IEM under $100, on top of being like the best example that I have for the saying good audio stays good, as I've had this since 2019. It's essentially like the base where I built my collection on. But regardless, set A is going to give you a more of like a one-size-fits-all approach to IEMs, where something like the Daybreaks could be a safe blind buy that's going to give you a good introduction to the sense of pace, rhythm, and timing, or PRATs. Then set B is the let's experiment path, where you get you get to try out different sounds and shapes to find what truly works for you from a sound and comfort standpoint. Although, do remember that I chose these IEMs since this is what actually worked for me, but it might not work for you, so I urge you to at least read a lot of reviews and look for reviewers that will have a closer preferences and like use case to you. I consider these people like Paul Wasabi, Audio Amigo, and Gadgetry Tech as potential candidates on who you could potentially watch for more advice. price. But in this case, I'd personally lean towards like set B, as this gives me the option to experiment and try out different IEMs with different sizes and different target profiles. By the way, emphasis on sizes here, as sound wouldn't really matter if you can't even wear the thing, right? However, I said that I want to guide all of you to a decision that's tailored fit for you. But before we get there, I want all of you to go ahead and comment down below, like what complete IEM system price range, say like $100 for the entire set, should I try next? Continuing forward, what will essentially tailor fit this guide for you is if you can answer one key question. Is this intended to be a one-time purchase? Because like thinking about it, not everybody wants to make this expensive ordeal as their hobby, right? And there's a good number of you guys who will just be happy with just one really good product and be done with it then and there. In which case, like if you answer yes, this is a one-time purchase, then the answer is pretty obvious. Going with one good IEM and one solid DAC is the way to go here, where you should consider options like the Daybreak for starters, or you could look into options just like Kiwi Ears Aether, the ZGAT Lush like the one I'm wearing right now, or even a Lecture S12, among other options. Where I would like recommend you to look into products that fall within the new meta category of tuning, which might be the safest tuning target to blind buy if you have like no way to audition the products, as this tuning preference follows the research and measurements done from the BNK 5128 rig, which offers the latest standard estimates like what sounds neutral or flat to most people. However, if that doesn't sound safe enough for you, going for like a planar magnetic IEM in the form of the Lecture SL would be a great option that will enable you to try EQ through the Black Pearl, as planar magnetics like tend to take customization better than drivers, which means that you can get the sound that you want without necessarily purchasing more IEMs. However, if you don't intend this to be a one-time purchase, then welcome, because you're essentially treating this as a hobby, which introduces you like to a world of uncertainty and surprises, which can potentially be a rewarding experience without the hassle of like playing with EQ if you get something that's close to your preferences in both like tuning and shape. But it's also just as equally as potentially disappointing when you get something that's so far from what fits and sounds well. In which case, going for the 3 different IEMs and 3 different sounds, along with essentially the 3 different shapes and comfort levels, will provide a way to ease into the hobby without dropping $200 for one item that might not even fit your ears comfortably, like right from the get-go. Now, on top of the IEMs I've chosen for my 3 picks, you should also consider stuff like the Caffeine Clean, Truthear Heads, the Tangzu Bunny, or something like the RTT10, which is generally regarded as a very solid budget planar magnetic IEM that you can pair up with the Black Pearl to get you started. And with all of that said, like, would you spend $200 on just one piece, or would you slowly build it up, like collection wise? Let me know what you think, and subscribe with the notification bell turned on so you don't have to miss like any new uploads. My name is Charles, and goodbye.